Hello, hello, and welcome to the Magnetic Online Leaders Podcast. I am Stefi Lane, and this is your Magnetic Beauty Challenge Day 2. And if you ever, I'm sure you have, feel insecurity and low vibes, this is the podcast, the lesson, the code you need to hear. All right, so life was lately have been so good, so good, so good. And I've been noticing my power and just feeling more into my magnetism. And then we had an issue a few days ago where our water heater was leaking into our downstairs neighbor's home. Totally a bad thing, right? So they said, first they came in, they're like, okay, we see some water. Interesting. So they didn't make it seem like a big deal. And then after he's like, "Oh my god, it's like leaking a ton of water into this your neighbor's home. We're gonna have to shut off the water." Thinking that it was gonna be for like 20 minutes. No, they had to turn it off for like 2 or 3 days. I think it was 2.5 days, but it felt like 3. And not having water, you don't realize like how much you need it for like the dishwasher and the washer and dryer and then brushing your teeth and washing your face and using the bathroom, like everything. And I started to notice my power start to dwindle. I started to notice my magnetism, my patience. I kind of got a little snippy with the people, a little angry, a little frustrated. Granted, they weren't really communicating with me a lot and telling me what was going on. And they were kind of sugarcoating things and they were walking into my space and not really like walking on my carpet and having dirty shoes. And it was just like a lot, right? It's a lot when you have someone in your home and your space. So there was just a lot of things, and I started to notice my power. I started to notice, like, my frustration, and so, like, I had to get up really early and go to my gym and do all the things because I can't use the home. The home doesn't have any water, and if you know anything about my story, maybe I'll go into this. Okay, let me go into this. The water element has been a key growth factor for me in my evolution in life, and in 2014, my boyfriend and I at the time, they had our apartment place, which wasn't really an apartment place. It was kind of like a legal place that we were living, but for really cheap in Pacific Beach. Two of the owners were getting into a fight with each other and they were suing each other. So one of them turned the water off in spite of the other, which is completely illegal. But the place that we were staying at wasn't zoned for living. So that actually, there was no way we could get around it. So there was no water, it cut out. So we moved out. This is 2014. Then in 2018, we get married. 2 months later, our house floods. That's a story for another time, setting us off to a trajectory of travel and exploration. And we definitely turned something bad into lemonade, right? Lemons into lemonade. And then in 2021, when I moved to Texas, there was a state of emergency and the pipes froze and it was a freaking ice storm. And you could just like three days without water. And so when this happened, was very mild, the water is leaking into our neighbors and it needs to be repaired. It's going to be a couple days. Compared to that trajectory of those other times, like this was so mild, but I was extremely triggered, like the kids say. I was extremely triggered. I was activated. It brought up that all those all that compound effect of water, that it made me feel like I'm not safe. I am not safe. I am not secure. Water can just literally come over here and wash us away because she loves to do that. If you're like me, I'm terrified of the ocean. Like the ocean is beautiful and I love looking at it, but I go into it with my ankles and that's it because I'm terrified. So I was starting to spiral into this insecurity and low vibes. And normally what I do is I tell myself, okay, Steph, like get out of this, like get yourself out of this. How can you pull yourself out of that? Don't feel it, whatnot. But this time I was like, you know what? Let me feel it. Just go for it. Just go for it. Feel it. What can I feel? What is the bottom of this? What is this? And what I found was insecurity. Insecurity with my power. Insecurity with holding it. And so then I did what I normally now know to do is I go and play in water. So I went to the jacuzzi. And I know I'm like very privileged and very lucky. I'm so grateful. I went to the jacuzzi. I went and did a cold plunge. I drank more water. I took a shower. I did this. I did the steamer. I have a very nice fancy gym. I'm absolutely blessed. Like for me, like a nice fancy gym is something I extremely value. Anyways, so I, of course, felt like $1,000,000 after that. Like, "Oh, okay, I can wash away this. I can let go of this. I can, um, really allow these insecurities and these low vibes to go away, and I no longer have to feel this." And that is what I was able to really what I was able to really tune into was insecurity doesn't need to stop me. Insecurity, low frequency, bad days, circumstantial things, because my personal power will always trump any type of circumstance. My personal power is strong and she holds, and I can hold it. Hmm. So I would love for you on this magnetic beauty challenge is to notice where there's insecurities and they're very quiet. Insecurities are super quiet. They're very sneaky sneakies. And then when they're sneaky, you can you can call them out and you can love them so much, give them so much love and compassion and then move on. Thank you for joining me on this Magnetic Online Leader podcast episode. I'm so excited about this podcast because I really feel like we're going to create a lot and a lot of magic together on this journey. Mwah. Love you. Thank you so much for joining me on the Magnetic Leader podcast. I'm so happy you're here. If you found this of value, please like, subscribe, and share this episode on your social media. I would be so appreciative, and it's really going to create a ripple effect for others. But wait, there's one more thing. If you are ready to dive deep into your magnetism, to understand your leadership, to understand what it takes to become a magnetic online leader, well, I've got something special for you. Head over to stefilane.com and sign up to become part of my exclusive magnetic list. You're going to get updates, personal invitations, insights, videos, a front row seat to your transformation because it's all happening and you definitely want to be in on it. Again, stefilane.com. And thank you for the bottom of my heart for joining us today. Your presence meant so much. So until next time, take care, and I'll catch you on the next episode of the Magnetic Online Leader Podcast.